strongest assaultings.
What's up? It's Garson, and this is the Death Smiter. So, this is the Death Domain build. I get to use all the cool stuff. Divine Strike, Inflict Wounds, Touch of Death, Spirit Guardians, double cantrips. I could even raise the dead if I wanted to. But, let me break it down for you. I appreciate you guys for watching, as always. And a shout out to the members, because you guys help keep pesky sponsors away from the channel. But we'll dive right in. I just want to briefly cover Death Domain to kind of give you some focal points, what you could build a character with, but how I wrap it all together into one. And if you don't really know the Death Domain subclass, it's basically the Necromancy subclass. You actually get just about every Necromancy spell in the game on this subclass. And, you know, clerics don't usually get this stuff. So you could think of it that way. I like to think of it as the necrotic damage subclass. Out of all the subclasses, not just for cleric, but for all of them in BG3, I think this is the subclass. If you wanted to do the necrotic damage, this is the way to go. And one of the best things we get, any cleric, not just Death Domain, gets Inflict Wounds, which is a very strong melee spell attack. So this can crit. So we're starting at 3d10 at level 1. We go all the way up to 8d10 at level 6, and it can crit, meaning 16d10 is pretty crazy. At level 1, you also get martial weapon proficiencies. As a cleric, any cleric's going to have medium armor and shields, but Death Domain actually gets weapon proficiencies, and I've called this sort of like a clue that you should probably use melee weapons. You get medium armor, you get shields, and you get martial weapon proficiencies, and one of your best attacks is a melee spell anyway, and we'll see more and more of that, but that's just how I interpret it. Of course, at range, you could use your cantrips, and you get two really great choices: Bone Chill, which clerics don't normally get, and Toll the Dead, which is awesome and does a lot of damage when there's at least 1 point of damage on your enemy. Both of these are really good and complement each other, and they can both now target two separate targets, thanks to level 1 Reaper ability. So we also get to ignore resistances, whether it's coming from a weapon or a spell attack. Even though the description's a little weird, it's just any and all necrotic damage at level 6 is immune to any kind of resistance. Or let me say it this way, it ignores any enemy resistances. So that's pretty great, especially because one of your best abilities is Channel Divinity, will let you top off any melee attack that successfully lands. You can do more damage with Touch of Death, and it uses your short rest resource, so it doesn't have to use up your spell slots. I love this ability. I love Channel Divinity. It's pretty cool, right? So it has a really good combo potentially with your weapon attacks or inflict wounds or any melee damage you do. Even something as crazy as Thorn Whip is considered a melee attack. But yeah, this goes up based on cleric level. So the more you invest in your cleric level, the more you get to use it per short rest, and the stronger it is. And this tooltip is wrong. It's actually double your cleric level plus 5 damage. So if we look at my guy, he's 8 cleric. That would be 16 plus 5. Fixed damage, so criticals don't really matter, but it's a really good top off for something, like I said, Inflict Wounds. And then we have Divine Strike. I love this ability. At level 8, most domains get this in cleric subclasses, and so of course it's going to be necrotic damage added on as opposed to like poison or divine radiant or weapon damage. It's necrotic damage for level 8 Death Domain. And we can be a Necromancer outright. We have all the cool spells, but mainly you just need an Animate Dead and higher spell slots to upcast it so that you're getting more and more summons or stronger summons. So of course you can get 3 ghouls or 3 skeletons with the level 4 slot, for instance. So you could be a full-on Necromancer. So because of all these tools, I would say there's some focal points. So I'll just briefly describe them, how you would kind of build a character. Maybe you wanted to hone in on cantrips, so you'd be very dependent on wisdom, right? So Toll is really strong, and Bone Chill is a good attack roll. So you have 2 great choices. typically you're probably going to use Bone Chill. It's an attack roll. It's kind of like Eldritch Blast. And you're going to be able to target the enemy's armor class. So if this is getting too high up there, you could use Toll the Dead instead, because you would target the wisdom saving throw of the opponent. So you have two really good choices. The attack roll is probably what you're going to use using Bone Chill, but if you need to, you can target wisdom saving throws like I said. And Toll is really strong, just to pause there for a second. 3d12 at level 10, right? That hits like a truck, and you can hit 2 targets with this as well, right? So you are wisdom dependent. You would have to build a character that's trying to get as many cantrips as they can. Thanks to the Reaper ability, that's pretty easy. And then, you know, you'd have to go for wisdom because you're sort of a spellcaster, you're cantrip caster. So you could also hone in on inflict wounds, right? Maybe you just want really big inflict wounds. You would want, again, attack rolls can critical hit. So a level 1 would go from 3d10 with a critical hit, it would go to 6d10 on a single spell slot. Pretty crazy, right? And you can top it off, since it is a melee attack. You could use that touch of death we were talking about to do even more damage, the difference between life or death. But again, you're going to be dependent on wisdom as your main ability focus. You could also build for martial weapons, because again, at level 1, you have access to all weapons. Medium armor, you can get in the thick of it, up close and personal. You have the proficiencies to accurately attack with your weapons. They are attack rolls, so again, pretty easy to, you know, build your attack roll bonuses, your accuracy bonuses. And you have Divine Strike empowering it. You have equipment that can make it stronger, like maybe the Dark Justiciar gloves, adding more necrotic damage. Multi-classing, adding, look, we have the Spore Druid adding 1d6 for every weapon attack. But yeah, you would probably be a strength or dexterity character mostly. I know there's Shillelagh builds and stuff like that, but just in general. Spirit Guardians, you could build a whole character that's just really good at concentration. You would have advantage on concentration saving throws and maybe a lot of saving throw bonuses, because this is really efficient. If you build for Spirit Guardians, you get the full 10 turns of concentration. You basically just walk around the battlefield and do a bunch of damage. You're always at least doing half damage, if not full. And it is a form of control, since it does slow down targets, and it frees up your action and bonus actions to cast more spells or maybe Divine Strike. So it's a really good complement. You can build all around that. And of course, I'm going to gloss over it, but Necromancer, what's unique about Death Domain Necromancer is that you have Aid and you have Bless, right? The Bless spell raising accuracy. Aid is giving your summons more HP. Because undead can't be healed, at least you can raise their HP so they can take more hits, right? So there's some pretty cool nuances thanks to being a Death Domain Necromancer. But the big standout for me, I'm going to drive it home, is level 6. We ignore resistances to our necrotic damage, so we can be more consistent no matter what encounter we go into. Very few encounters are going to be immune, so we bypass resistances, even if that would normally be an issue like Answer, who can resist all damages when he's charging up his attack. So it's easier to just go all in on one damage type, which kind of makes you a more efficient character. But I won't say it's perfect. There are some immunities. So basically, the build here, we've got it all. I love this. I'm running this right now in honor mode. And don't fret if you want a level by level dry write-up. I'm going to do an unlisted video and link it in the description. But I'm going to do 4 Spore Druid because it gets me even more damage on my weapon hits. And it just looks freaking cool. And it's a pretty good, you know, it's wisdom. So I can just be a full spellcaster all the way up to level 6. I get my level 8 Divine Strike that I obsess over. I just like this. It's like mini smiting. And then I have all in on necro damage because it can't be resisted. And I'm all in on wisdom because the subclass, or the 2 classes, meld pretty well. And I look cool, like I said. But what about the specific focal points? How am I able to accomplish all of them in one build? So weapons, we're actually going to cheat a little bit. I'm actually going to use the Hill Giant Club of Strength, right? This just changes. If I had 8 or 10 strength, I would be automatically set to 19, but it can't go any higher than that. It's actually really good, a very efficient way to run this, and it lets me run only wisdom, or boost only wisdom, right? So my real ability focus is wisdom, and this allows me to hit pretty reliably with weapons. And I'll use the Hill Giant Club, like I said, cheat the strength in there. And I'm actually going to get extra attack. Since I'm going for Divine Strike and a lot of spell slots here, I don't really have the ability to get extra attack with my multi-class. So I'm just going to ignore it and use dual wielding as an extra attack. And the dual wielder feat will let me use more powerful, higher damage weapons, or just better weapons in general, more selection, right? Plus I do get a little bonus armor class for dual wielding since I'm not using a shield. And the offhand may seem weak, but again, I could cast a cantrip with my action, And my bonus action can then swing for a lot of damage because I have all this bonus necrotic damage. I could get arcane synergy from attacking with a cantrip, and ultimately I could smite with Touch of Death. So that's a lot of damage with a little offhand that seems weak initially. And this is all without 2-weapon fighting style. Keep that in mind. So Divine Strike and the Spore bonus are definitely going to raise that up and make it a very powerful, potent attack every single turn. And if I want to, I could just Divine Strike and offhand Divine Strike all in one turn. So 2 attacks. I have cantrips. Obviously I can reliably cantrip and I can do a lot of damage since I can target 2 targets, and with a solid 16 wisdom at the start, later on I'll start boosting. I'll use my level 8 and level 20 feat so I can get 18 and 20 wisdom respectively. Now, inflict wounds and bone chill, these are attack rolls. So of course, as I said before, these can critically hit. So anything I use to raise my attack rolls or give me advantage is really going to add up so that I can more constantly hit with this and potentially crit. Like the risky ring, adding advantage is a huge boost to accuracy, but it also helps a lot with boosting crit potential on those moves. Heroism is an excellent elixir that's going to boost my attack rolls, but also help with my concentration and my saving throws. So those are some options right there. Now let's just say, as before, if armor class is a problem, like it's getting up to 20, it's pretty bad to attack, I can also go for Toll the Dead. So this gives me a whole nother option. I'm still doing necrotic damage and I'm still targeting 2 targets, not using any spell slots. I don't have to go into melee range. So I always have reliable ranged attacks between these 2, Bone Chill and Toll the Dead. And I've even used Blight to blow something up because it hits kind of hard, like inflict wounds hard, but it just can't crit, right? So if you need to, you can have that. It comes with Death Domain. So I also have the little reaction spore attack, Halo of Spores, just to mention that. But what's really fun is Spirit Guardians, just setting this on the first turn or maybe before combat starts. I have 10 turns as long as I can maintain concentration. That's extremely efficient when it comes to using my spell slots. And then I can just bop people with Divine Strike and blow them up with Channel Divinity, Death Touch, right? So all it comes down to is just boosting your saving throws and your concentration throws, right? And also just never getting hit. So if I have high armor class from, say, the Protection Cloak and good medium armor, also my medium armor, the Sharon armor, provides advantage on maintaining concentration. So I really can just stuff it all in one build. I have medium armor, I have weapons, right? So you can see that, and I'm always at least doing half damage. And when I do full damage, Spirit Guardians hits like a truck because, again, it's probably the most efficient way to upcast and use my higher level spell slots for damage, because it's 10 turns of just walking up to people and really dishing out a lot of damage. As for smiting, like I said, inflict wounds is a big hit. It feels like a smite. It feels so satisfying to land this. And if you do land it, you can blow them up with the Touch of Death. So that's actually pretty high since I'm a level 8 or beyond. That's when Touch of Death can hit pretty hard, that fixed damage. So these 2 are awesome in conjunction with each other. You could also Divine Strike twice. So again, there's going to be a video. I'll link to that. Battle Clerics, just explaining how you do 2 Divine Strikes, and why I love it on Death Domain is because I can use Touch of Death with that as well. So this feels like a mini smite, and this feels like a big level 3 or level 4 smite on top of it, or I can just go all in with a huge spell attack. Obviously there's some cool ways to smite, but in terms of these 2, let me just shout these out right here. I think you should, when I play with this, I turn off Do Not Ask. I still have it as an automatic reaction. So the way I can get both of these to pop off on the same time on a reaction, like say my offhand attack, is I will have this clicked on Do Not Ask, and this will be on Do Not Ask. And that way they'll actually both pop off. It's a very technical thing. I hate to stop the video just for that, but it's something where you have to set it up this way, and you'll manually go in here and be like, all right, for the next 5 turns, I'm not really looking to like blow things up with my very limited Touch of Death. But when you want to, you turn this thing back on, and just like the demo, you can blow something up with just a measly offhand attack. Pretty crazy. So Cleric and Druid have a lot of utility spells we're not going to go over, but I obviously love Sanctuary, Longstrider, a bunch of other stuff, so you get those as well. So you just do a lot with this character. I just love Spellblades or Gish characters, but, you know, the characters that can simultaneously in one turn cast a cantrip or a powerful spell and still get an extra attack off, or weave their spellcasting weapon attacks. Not to mention I'm running around with Spirit Guardians. I'm blowing people up and smiting them with inflict wounds and divine strike and all this cool stuff, right? And I have the cleric spell list, which I love. I love edgy Dark Knights, Death Knight characters. I love the color green, so I get my cake and eat it too with this build, and hopefully it's inspired you too. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I'm gonna have other videos that I think are relevant. I'll link them here. And I also have an unlisted video just kind of dryly explaining level by level, just quickly what to do with this build if you want to copy and paste it. But I also am running this on the 4 Horsemen run, so come join us in the live stream on YouTube and Twitch. And again, a shout out to my members. It's thanks to you guys I don't have to put stupid sponsor videos or interruptions in these, so thank you guys. Big shout out. I'll try and add some content on the YouTube side, but otherwise, go play a Death Smiter, and I'll see you in the next video.